Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina. Happy Sunday night, y'all. It is time for that live stream show. Hopefully you're ready for a good show tonight. We've got a ton of stuff lined up for you, and we're excited. We're going to be giving away $1,500 in free trips tonight. That's right. We've got a 5-hour half day for 2, a 10-hour all day for 2, a 39-hour trip for 1, and that Hubbard's Marina swag pack. So we're super excited for a good show tonight. Plus, we got to talk about all the stuff that happened this past week at the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council. We got to talk about Final Friday coming up. We got to talk about Fishing for Hope event. We got to talk about a special Veterans Day celebration that we're having tomorrow, and more. Plus, we got a lot of photos to show you. We got a lot of fishing news to update you on, and we got some weather to talk about as well. So, lots of stuff to talk about tonight. Hopefully you're excited for another great episode of our Sunday night live stream show. Every Sunday night right here on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, Twitter, all that good stuff. And hopefully you're enjoying the show, and hopefully you're going to tell your friends about the show, and hopefully we're going to see you every Sunday night at 7:30 p.m. for this live stream show. The show is brought to you by our friends over at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't stopped by to see our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle, you are missing out. Stop on by, tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you. If you bring a young angler with you and tell them Hubbard's Marina sent you, they got a free gift for the young angler with you. It is a cool place, killer selections, awesome deals, really good people. You will not regret stopping by to see our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle. Again, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. Stop on down to Gator Jim's and tell them Hubbard's Marina said hello. Also, we want to make sure we give a shout out to our stars senders. That's right, Facebook randomly. We've been working since July to fix our stars issue on Facebook, and been getting nowhere. No help, hitting dead ends, and just randomly it started working tonight. So I'm very happy about that, thankfully, and definitely is a huge help. Stars help us to do a lot of the stuff during our show, and it helps us to upgrade our equipment and helps us to do more cool things. So hugely excited about the stars being back up and running. So big shout out to Larry White with 1,000 stars, Robert Riggs, Shanna McCardle, Troy Davis, PJ Hassa, Stephen Batchelor, Mark Higgins, Chino Fisherman, Keith White, Scott Flynn with the big 500, Brian Eakins, Angie Darling, Michael Perro, Christopher Smith, Josh Maloney with the big 500. Thanks, Josh. Stan Meeky, Scott Flynn with the big 500, PJ Hassa again, David Pruitt with 500 stars. Thank you, my friend. And Corey Mikulski. Appreciate you all for the stars. We are hugely excited they're back up and running. Thanks, Gary Camage. Appreciate you as well. So stars are back on Facebook. For those watching on YouTube, TikTok, other places, the stars are a way for people to show their support on Facebook. Helps us to fuel the show and is super appreciated. So thank you to everybody who's sending stars. Jeff Reedy, appreciate you, my buddy. And then also want to make sure we shout out our supporters out there. Everybody in our supporters group, they get some behind the scenes info, they get advanced news, they know about things first. So it's pretty cool. The supporters group is only $4.99 a month. It is a really cool way to get more one-on-one communication. You get behind the scenes info, you get advanced news on things, plus you get access to our private supporters after show. It's only $4.99 a month. So check out the supporters group. Join today. It is a ton of fun in that supporters group. So appreciate y'all. Also, we're going to be talking about fishing tonight, obviously, answering questions and all that good stuff. But if you have a question that you want answered live during the show, if you have a comment you want us to read, if you want to make sure we see your comment, make sure you text us at the phone number on the screen. Because remember, if you're commenting, we are streaming to TikTok, we're streaming to Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and a bunch of different platforms, so I can't always see every comment. So if you want something answered live during the show, make sure you shoot us a question to the phone number on the screen via text message. All right, first things first, big announcement. want to make sure we celebrate in style. Tomorrow is a special day, guys. Tomorrow is Veterans Day, and we are the home of the free because of the brave. So many people sacrifice so much and do so much for our country, and we're super thankful for our veterans out there. So we want to make sure we do a special Veterans Day celebration. So I wanted to announce tonight we are going to give away free fishing trips tomorrow, Monday. If you want to come out fishing with us and you're a veteran, you can book our 5-hour half day tomorrow morning absolutely free. But you have to call us before 8 p.m. So stop watching the show for a second, pick up the phone, call the phone number on the screen, our main office number. Our office staff is there until 8 p.m. So you have 30 minutes, 24 minutes to be exact, if you want to join us tomorrow for our 5-hour half day, absolutely free. You have to be a veteran, and you're welcome to bring your family if you're a veteran and you're wondering if your wife or your kids can go. You can bring your family. Trip fare is going to be on us at Hubbard's Marina as a thank you to any and all veterans who are available tomorrow and want to go out fishing with us. So thank you for all you've done for our country, and we appreciate your service. Also, want to make sure we explain how to win some free trips. You want to win some free trips tonight? We're going to be giving away that 5-hour half day for 2, that 10-hour all day for 2, the 39-hour trip for 1, and we're going to be giving away that Hubbard's Marina swag pack as well. So if you want to be entered for a chance to win a free fishing trip or that Hubbard's Marina swag pack, you do have to comment one time on our Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream. So you got to go to Facebook, you got to find the Hubbard's Marina page, make sure you're following the page, make sure you like the video, share the video too if you want, but you have to comment at least one time in order to be eligible to win. As long as you've commented once, you're entered to win. Then you have to watch live, because at random times throughout the show, we're going to announce winners, and you have to be watching live because you got 5 minutes or less to text us at the phone number on the screen your full home address, and we mail you out a certificate. So you have to comment once on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook stream, then you have to watch live, and then text us your full home address within 5 minutes to prove you're watching live. That's how it works, y'all. All right, want to make sure we give a shout out again to our buddy Jeff Reedy with a big 1,200 stars, Chris John Smith with 500 stars, James McCollum with 500 stars, John Herman with 1,000 stars, and D Beers coming in for the top spot with 1,400 stars. Thank you, D. John Bull, Jasmine Marie, and LaShonda Brown with a big 500 as well. Appreciate you guys all for sending the stars, and thank you so much for all your support. With that, let's jump right into the photos and show you guys what we've been catching this past week. So first things first, inshore. We always like to start inshore and then work our way a little bit further offshore. Definitely seeing some black drum around. This one was caught along the beach, as you can tell from the sand on the side of the fish, but definitely some nice black drum moving around the beach, the pass, the bridge, around the dock pilings. We're seeing those black drum quite frequently as of late. And also we've been seeing a lot of other inshore species. Jack Crevalle, I don't know what's happening, jumping all around on me. Jack Crevalle have been pretty darn prolific around the area. We're seeing jacks on the beach, around the jetties, on the flats, the mangrove shorelines. Definitely some schooling jacks, and they're always a ton of fun. A great fight on light tackle. Some people eat them, but a lot of people just catch and release them or use them for shark bait. I like black drum. I don't think I would eat a Jack Crevalle unless I was in a tough way. But people do eat them. I've heard of it. Redfish action. These schoolie-sized redfish, slot, underslot redfish, have seemingly been everywhere from the upper and back bay waters all the way out to our beautiful beaches. We're seeing quite a few of these schoolie size, which is like slot and underslot, quite frequently around the area. As you can see, the redfish action has been prolific. The other thing is the sheepshead. The sheepshead have really started to heat up as water temperatures cool down. We're seeing a lot of the sheepshead really pick up this past week, especially around the docks at Hubbard's. We've been seeing more and more people more consistently catching the sheepshead. Our buddy John, the snook slayer, is out there catching the snook quite frequently along the beach, along the bridge, underneath the bridge, and around the docks. We're seeing quite a few snook being caught, mostly early morning, but some even throughout the day. They're just a little bit more picky throughout the day for sure. But early morning beach action has been fired up, which is typically a more summertime pattern, but seemingly a lot of that fresh water has kind of pushed the snook back into the passes and on the beaches a little bit. But as you can tell, snook action is great from the back bay, upper bay areas. Even from the creeks, rivers, bayous, we're starting to see snook really get up into the back bay areas. But we're still seeing them in the pass, which is kind of unique as well. So really prolific snook action. Mackerel have shown up in big numbers. We're starting to see mackerel more and more frequently around the jetty and pass. A lot of trout in the early morning hours. Trout action has been pretty steady early morning around the dock lights, bridge lights, and even from the beach here. So quite a few trout have been caught as well. During the day, it's a lot more difficult to find the trout around the pass unless you're back in the back bay area, fishing those mangrove islands or around the Bay Pines, VA area. You can find some trout during the day. But a lot of trout early morning hours around the bridge is a good spot to look for them. So that's what I would suggest if you want to try to catch some fish, maybe before a half-day trip, come out 3-4 a.m., fish that pre-sunrise bite, and it has been pretty prolific around the pass as of late. Let's work our way a little bit further offshore and show you guys what's been happening more near shore and offshore. Let's see if I can get it to work. There it goes. All right, so lane snapper action has been fired up. Seeing a ton of lane snapper, plentiful gray snapper as always, and porgies, and of course cute little kids are always a bonus. This is Captain Seabass's daughter. She's helping out dad for the day, and she caught a bunch of fish while she was out there on the half day helping her dad run the boat, so it was pretty cool. Nice hogfish action. We're seeing hogfish on the half day trips, some decent numbers. We're seeing quite a few on the 10-hour trips as well. So it's been pretty steady action out there. The hogfish bite's definitely starting to pick up. We have a little bit of a challenge. If we fish a little deeper, we run into a lot of lane snapper. And then if we fish a little shallower, we don't see as many lane snapper, and then we're finally able to get into the hogfish. So seemingly, it's kind of like a trade-off. We fish deeper, see more lanes, or we fish shallower, get less lane snapper action, but more hogfish action. As of late. Yesterday was a little bit tougher for us fishing wise. Today was a little bit slower too, but I think it's going to change around pretty quick as we get into this work week and work closer to that full moon. We've got a high pressure sitting on us right now, and that's what I'm thinking attributed to the slower fishing yesterday and a little bit tougher fishing today. But today was better. And I'm hoping that trend continues. It gets better and better every day. Some nice hogfish action, definitely, though. As you can see, we're catching quite a few of these great-eating fish. But they can be tricky. They can be very hit or miss, unfortunately. And also, you could be doing everything right, and the person next to you can catch them, which is extremely frustrating as well. But even Seabass's daughter got herself one. So it is biting. The bite is happening, and it should only get better and better with these cold fronts. They really concentrate the hogfish on the ledges. We see more hogfish action as we move into these cold front patterns. In the cooler water temperatures, we see more and more hogfish. So I'm hoping the trend continues and we see them pick up more and more. But as you can tell, quite a few have been caught as of late. Fishing's so good, even Jose can do it. Look at that. I hope he's watching. Even Dan caught one. That's how you know they're thick, for sure. So, good times out there. Look at all these hogfish photos. It's going to take a while to scroll through all these things. But, yeah, I mean, the other day we had, I think one all-day trip had 12. The next all-day trip had 14. There was one all-day that had 18 caught. Keepers, we catch quite a few that have to be thrown back because they're a little too small. But look at these lane snapper too. Some pretty solid lane snapper out there as well. So days where the hogfish don't quite bite as well, the lane snapper can bail us out. And even big mangroves. That's a solid mangrove from our buddy Jose there. Another nice mangrove snapper. Some strawberry grouper action. Really good eating. They don't get very big, but man, that is probably, I think, even a little better than hogfish. Such a good eating fish. That is what we call strawberry grouper. It's also known as a Graysby. There's a blackfin tuna. Capt Will showing off a blackfin tuna from the 39-hour. We've been seeing quite a few blackfin tuna, some nice kingfish action, some catch and release gag grouper. Behind the hurricanes, the gag grouper were thick. We're throwing away 100-plus keeper gag grouper. Even today's half-day trip caught a monster gag grouper that they had to catch and release. Big mangroves out there right now. We're seeing solid yellowtails as well. So real good time. Some nice scamp grouper mixed in there. Solid triggerfish action. Triggerfish should be open till the end of the year. And always some nice yellowtails are a great addition to the catch. There's an inshore photo to wrap out the offshore photos. Don't know how that snuck in there, but John's always catching fish. So definitely, as you can tell, fishing is going well for us. Like I said, yesterday was a little bit slower than we would have liked. Today was a little better, but still a little tough. But as that high pressure relents tomorrow, I think the fishing is going to pick back up for us, and we have a beautiful week of weather ahead. Speaking of weather, let's pop on over to the Hubbard's Marina website and show you what's going on weather-wise. We're going to go to hubbardsmarina.com. We're going to click fishing trips. Then we're going to select weather links. We're going to pop over to the 5 and 10 hour forecast area, the wind finder forecast area. And as you can see, beautiful wind or beautiful weather, almost no wind. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday looks really good. And then all the way through, as far as the eye can see, looks real nice. Wednesday, we get a little bit of wind, but it's out of the east. So it's doable. So tomorrow, Veterans Day, free Veterans Day 5-hour half day. Remember, tomorrow is a free 5-hour half day. If you're a veteran, you've got to call the phone number on the screen now. You got to call us before 8 o'clock and book over the phone if you want to go out with us on a free 5-hour trip if you're a veteran. So weather looks really good for our Veterans Day celebration tomorrow. Tuesday looks perfect, and we have a super light load on the 10-hour trip. I would bet that Tuesday's 10-hour trip is going to do really well out there. So I would hop on the Tuesday 10-hour if you're available, especially right ahead of this weather. Those fish should be excited. So Tuesday's 10 hours looking really good. We also have a 39-hour trip leaving Tuesday as well. It's got a light load on it as well. And you can see here, Wednesday, it blows up wind-wise, but it's out of the east, and it doesn't even get over 3 foot. So it's still only 2.5 foot. So even Wednesday, being the most breezy day of the week, still doesn't really get too rough. Thursday, it calms down really nicely. So hopefully Thursday's all day is going to be really great fishing too. And then Friday, we get a little bit of a north wind. So we'll have some humidity out of the air, get a little chillier, and a little weak cold front action Friday. And it looks like winds are going to hopefully let us get our 12-hour night snapper out. We've also got a 44-hour trip Friday. And it looks like a beautiful weekend. It'll be cool. Look at that, 68 degrees Saturday morning, 68 degrees. That's beautiful. A high of 73. Beautiful. Low humidity, absolutely sunny and spectacular. So it looks like a gorgeous weekend for the 44-hour. And even into next week, look at that. Less than 5 miles an hour. It's going to be beautiful. So great weather outlook ahead. If you're on the Tuesday 39-hour trip, some people were a little concerned about the weather, but the Tuesday 39-hour trip definitely is going to get a little breezy Wednesday, but it's not even 5 foot. It's going to be 4.5 foot, so it's going to be a little chunky, but not terrible. Totally fishable in the Florida fishermen. So it's going to be a little bit more bumpy on the ride in, but we can handle it. So we are excited for Tuesday's 39-hour trip. It's got a light load on it, and we'll be able to fish that high pressure, and that moving barometer hopefully won't mess us up too much. I think we'll be able to pull off Tuesday's 39-hour trip, and it's going to be a good one. So even with the little windy Wednesday, this week looks pretty good. Best fishing day this whole week, I would say, is probably Tuesday. Monday, Tuesday, Tomorrow's going to be beautiful, but I think best fishing day will probably be Tuesday because we have that weather coming in Wednesday. We have a full moon at the end of the week as well. So I think Tuesday's 10-hour all day is going to be a really good one. And, of course, also the 39-hour trip Tuesday, hopefully, is going to be a stellar fishing trip as well. So looking forward to that. Now, also, we've got our Fishing for Hope event coming up. That is on the 23rd of November. We are super excited for Fishing for Hope. Again, that is the 23rd of November. It's an event right on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page, so you can join it if you would like. Also, Josh is going to drop the link in the chat for us as well. So Fishing for Hope, you can find it on the Hubbard's Marina Facebook page. But again, it's November 23rd from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a food drive. Also, they take unwrapped toys as well. So it's a food drive for Thanksgiving, but they will take unwrapped toys as well. And that is going to be 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., 2609 North Rome Avenue in Tampa. Stop on by. I will be there. Capt Mike will be there. Capt Bill Miller will be there. The Old Salts people will be there. We'll help you unload your car of the food drive items. And we're super excited about that event. Every year, it's such a good time and super rewarding. So hopefully we'll see you there for Fishing for Hope, November 23rd, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Again, 2609 North Rome Avenue in Tampa. All right, so we talked about what we've been catching. We talked about the weather. It's time to get into your questions. Remember, Bonnie, I was getting there. The Lady Anglers trip, again, that is November 24th. That is November 24th. Lady Anglers of Hubbard's Marina is a Facebook group. If you are a lady angler, I would recommend checking it out. Josh also has a Lady Anglers website page on our website as well, dedicated to their Facebook group. But it's Lady Anglers of Hubbard's Marina on Facebook. Josh is going to drop the link to the website page in the chat. But check them out on Facebook, Lady Anglers of Hubbard's Marina. They are doing a group trip on our 10-hour all-day trip on November 24th. So if you're a lady angler, you want to get out there with other lady anglers, book November 24th, 10-hour all-day. All right. Now, let's do our first giveaway of the night, and we will get into your questions. Remember, if you have a question you want answered live during the show, text us to the phone number on the screen. Let's do the 5-hour half day. 5-hour half day for 2 guests. 1 lucky winner, 5-hour half day. Let's see who won the free trip. Look at that. Michael Sewell from Riverview. Congratulations, Michael. You won a 5-hour half day trip for 2 guests. Michael and Dee, are veterans, so I hope they're going to come out with us tomorrow for our free Veterans Day trip. Then they just won another free 5-hour half day. So good for you guys. Happy Veterans Day, Michael. Jamie Nicole, appreciate your 200 stars. Don Shuett with the big 650. Thanks, buddy. Tim McCardle, Jose Ortiz, even though I made fun of him, sent me stars. Appreciate you, buddy. Jeff Reedy with the big 1,200 stars. He owns a Chinese water dragon, guys. He's a cool person. Anthony Barnes, Craig Robinson, Robert Bush. Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for the stars. So we give away our first free trip. Remember, you got 5 minutes or less to text us your full home address if you're picked as the lucky winner of our free trips. That's how you claim them and prove you're watching live. So let's get into the questions. First question of the night. Having a little trouble talking. Is how's the pompano bite? We've seen some pompano being caught. I wouldn't say we're seeing a lot of pompano, but it is started for sure. And the pompano fishermen are out there. The guys who they know what they're doing, definitely are there. So I would say the pompano are popping. It's just the people who know what they're doing, catch them and leave right away. They're not the type to come into the office and grab some live shrimp and tell us stories, right? They go out there with the jigs, they get their job done, and they get out of there. So pompano are starting. and I think they're only going to get better and better as we move in here. Water's cleaned up quite a bit. It was pretty clear today along the beach, and that definitely helps with the Pompano action. Do you have any shelling trips on Tuesday? I feel like that's not a question for the show. I feel like that was just a random one. But yes, we do have a 3-hour Shell Key shelling trip. It is, I think those run, now I'm going to have to look. But I think the Shell Key shelling trips run, yes, Thursday through Sunday. They're not on Monday and Wednesday this time of year. So Tuesday, we do have a 3-hour Shell Key shelling trip. We'll be there Thursday. I have a question. Will we be having a cookie bake-off at the Christmas party? I like that idea. Our supporters club and regulars club Christmas party is going to be Saturday, December 21st from 5 to 8 p.m. Our supporters club found out about this already. We emailed the regulars club about it. I'm going to be calling the regulars club here soon to make sure they know about it. But that is Saturday, December 21st from 5 to 8 p.m. for anyone in our supporters group and anybody in our regulars club. That is at Hubbard's Marina in our waiting area. We're going to have barbecue. We always get Dickie's Barbecue to cater the event because who doesn't love barbecue? And then we kind of do like a potluck, and some of our supporters and regulars will bring dishes, but I like the idea of a cookie bake-off. I can get behind that idea for sure. So cookie bake-off, we'll have to plan that out. I like it. Good idea. There was one other part of that question, Josh. Can we finish that before we get to that? We lost it. We'll get back to it. The next question was about the Golf Council meeting, and definitely have some news on the Golf Council meeting. The biggest news is red snapper season is reopening. So yeah, red snapper season is reopening. So like red snapper season was June 1st through August 27th. Now it's going to reopen again sometime later November. I'm thinking around, guessing sometime in the 20th to 25th range, somewhere in there is my guess. But we're going to see an announcement coming very soon of when the red snapper season opens. It's definitely going to happen before the end of November. It's going to open. Hopefully it'll open like November 22nd because we got some 39 hours in that range. But red snapper season is going to reopen, and it's going to stay open until the end of the year. So starting December 1st, we started adding a bunch of 39-hour trips. We added 8 39-hour trips for the month of December. We added a bunch of our 12-hour extreme trips in for the month of December as well. So lots of opportunities to go out there and catch red snapper, triggerfish, scamp grouper, mangrove snapper, yellowtail snapper, vermilion snapper, almaco jacks, and many, many more. So exciting news. Red snapper season is reopening. So that was the big news from the Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council, and unfortunately it was the only good news. The Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council did not have very many good news pieces. So let me pull up my notes here to make sure that I cover everything. But that was the big one. Red snapper season reopening. Oh, is my notebook not one? Oh, there it goes. All right, so amberjack. You want to hear a funny story? So the federal government, they do such a great job, guys. Amberjack. So this year, let me rewind a little bit so I can tell the story quickly and easily. Amberjack has a weird fishing year. Most of the fishing years for most of our FMP, or fishery management plan, most of the fishing years start on the calendar year, January 1st through December 31st. That's how 99.9% of fishing years work for almost all of our species. Amberjack, they had the bright idea to change the fishing year. It was a stupid idea, in my opinion, but it wasn't my choice. Amberjack's fishing year starts August 1. So this year, in 2024, they decided to open May randomly. Wasn't expecting it, but it was good news. We fished it. We talked about it back when it happened. And technically, May of 2024 was last year's fishing year that happened this year. Right? It's kind of hard to grasp, but essentially May was in last year's fishing year. So we fished May and we had fun. And then the season closed at the end of May. The fishing year closed at the end of July. And then a new fishing year started August 1, 2024. They are supposed to have amberjack season September and October, but the federal government failed to have that rule in place in time. So the May season happened because there was quota left on the table and they had to open it. They didn't get the rule in place in time. So the federal government failed to pass the rule in time, so we had that May season. So government failed, we won. We had a May season. Then August 1st, 2024, the new fishing year for amberjack started. And we had our September and October season that we were planning to have, that we were expecting to have, and that we were only expecting to have September and October. Well, we fished September and October. October ended, and the season's done. So now we're not going to have amberjack season again until next fishing year, September and October of 2025. We find out at this meeting, November 5th, in the Gulf Council meeting, that May's amberjack season, that 1 month in amberjack season, they claim, the numbers claim that we caught 667,000 pounds of amberjack. We overshot the quota by like 30%. So we caught too many fish. And those numbers are really hard to swallow. I don't see how we landed that many fish in 1 month, especially because it was kind of rough, but whole different story. Let's get back to the federal government failing at their job for a second time on the same species. That's in a real building plan. It's funny. So in May, we exceeded the quota. How the government is supposed to work and how the accountability measures are supposed to work is if you overfish a quota, you exceed the quota, you're supposed to pay back that overage in the following year. Well, by the time they found out November 5th, the following year had already happened. We had already fished September and October. So I'm hearing this huge overage that they claim we had, and I'm like, well, that sucks. We're going to have to pay it back. So I started talking to the head of Southeast Regional Office, Andy Strelchek. He's been on the show before. You guys remember he was here. And he was like, no, you don't have to pay that back. You should have already paid it back in September and October. Now there's nothing we can do. So the federal government failed twice with amberjack this year, opening a May season that shouldn't have happened, and then fumbling the ball so hard, we overfished it. They claim we overfished it so much that we should have paid that back and probably lost our September and October season, or at least lost half of it. And they let us fish the whole thing. Funny story. So that's about amberjack. So essentially next year we'll have September and October like we should have had this year, and we shouldn't see any payback even though we exceeded the quota. At least they claim we exceeded the quota. So funny story about amberjack. Red grouper, not as so funny. Not as funny. So red grouper this year ended at the end of June. They ended July 1st at 12:01 a.m. So essentially the last day in June was the last day to catch red grouper. Well, the red grouper numbers are in, and they claim, drum roll please, we overfished it. Yeah. So they claim that we exceeded the recreational quota for red grouper. So that means next year there's a payback. And also it means that they're going to have to project the season more carefully to prevent any overages. So they ended the season this year at the end of June. I would imagine 2025 we're going to see red grouper close middle June, early June, maybe even the end of May. So super frustrating and super bad news. We're going to have less red grouper season next year. It's going to open January 1st. And it's going to remain open for sure, I would assume, until the end of May. We might get a week or two of June for red snapper, red grouper, but we're not going to get very long. But yeah, super frustrating on the red grouper front. While we're talking about frustrating things, you know what also they claim we overfished? Lane snapper. That's right. Lane snapper is going to close. A very healthy, populated fishery. They can't seemingly do their jobs to get the science we need to prove that lane snapper are healthy. Everybody around the table agrees lane snapper is healthy. Everybody says lane snapper is healthy. Everybody agrees we're seeing more lane snapper in more areas and bigger average size. Yet, they won't do anything about it. I've been talking about lane snapper in my public comment now for 4 years straight at every meeting. And they seemingly just continue to ignore the problem. So again, we're going to see a lane snapper closure because we're catching too many fish too quickly and too large of size because the fishery is healthy. So they need to do their job. They need to have the science catch up to what we're seeing on the water. Unfortunately, the federal government does nothing quickly, and we are paying the price as anglers. So we're expecting lane snapper to close end of November, early December sometime. So they're going to send us an email saying, hey, red snapper's open for a few weeks, but we're going to close your lane snapper. Super frustrated. Also, Cubera snapper and mutton snapper, which are just funny. I can't believe the numbers say that we overfished those, but they don't have any accountability measures, so they're just going to be monitoring for next year. So we might see a hilarious closure on Cubera snapper in 2025. Maybe even mutton snapper, which would be frustrating, but we'll see. Gonna be funny either way. If we see a Cubera snapper closure next year, I think any shred of confidence in our system is gone. And rightfully so. It is getting to the point now where I am losing faith myself. Actually, I've lost faith, but continue to stay in the room because someone has to. All right, so also the states did their update on their state management of their private recreational season, and every state reported a decline in average size and average length of red snapper, which would tell you if all the states except for Texas, because who trusts Texas data? I don't, and it's kind of laughable. But all the other 4 states that we actually kind of semi-believe their state data, FWC does a great job. But the other states all said average size and average length or average weight and average size is trending down a little bit on red snapper. So not a great sign on the red snapper front as far as the health of the fishery. If you see average size and average weight start to decrease, that generally means the population is getting hammered to the point where the fishery is getting smaller. So definitely kind of concerned about that trend. At least in our area, we aren't really seeing that specifically in our area. It'll be interesting to see how this little red snapper season extension goes. I think we're going to get out there and we're going to catch a lot of big red snapper because we don't see that in our area, that localized depletion like they see off of Alabama. The guys that fish out of Destin, the guys that fish out of Alabama, Mississippi, they don't want any more red snapper season. They were angry about the extra red snapper season days coming because they say they go out, they can't catch big enough red snapper as it is. So it'll be interesting. Let's see what's next. Deepwater grouper, yellow edge grouper, we don't really fish for them, but that whole thing is super screwed up. There's going to be like a 50% cut. It is ugly. Historical landings, recreational lands about 30 to 60,000 pounds of yellow edge grouper. So 30 to 60,000 pounds of yellow edge grouper. The proposed amendments give anywhere from 20 to 60,000 or 20 to 56,000 pounds. So if they choose one of the amendments and give 20,000 pounds to rec, we generally land between 30 and 60,000 pounds. You can tell that would be about a 50 to 60% cut to recreational yellow edge grouper. We don't fish for them ourselves. They start about 400 foot and they go up to about 800 foot. So it's more of a deep water fishery. But yeah, that's not great. Scamp grouper, very similar. They're talking about like a 50 to 60% cut. potentially a 2 to 6 month season, essentially, what would come out of that. So we're watching that, but that's far away. The scamp grouper, the yellow edge grouper, that we talk about how fast the federal government moves. They are just starting these conversations on those two fish, so it'll take a while. Lane snapper, they're going to talk about finally doing something to slow fishing mortality. Potentially increasing the size limit is what I want to see happen. But of course, they always love to go one step further and try to screw me on the backside. And they're talking about changing the bag limit for lane snapper, which wouldn't help us, because what we're trying to do with lane snapper is we have a healthy fishery. There's a lot of lane snapper. They're getting bigger. We're seeing more of them. They're larger average size. So what we want to try to do is slow the fishing mortality enough so we don't have closures. That gives us a little bit of time for hopefully the federal government to do their job and give us the catch updated advice that shows, hey, the science now agrees with what we're seeing on the water. Here's a bigger quota. You won't have a closure anymore. But until we can get there, if we have a smaller or a bigger minimum size limit, right now a lane snapper only has to be about 8 inches to keep. 8 inches is the minimum size. That's a small lane snapper. If we change that to say 12 inches, then some lane snapper are going to get thrown back. And if you throw some lane snapper back, that will hopefully help stop the overage, help stop the quota overrun and prevent closures. However, now they're also talking about potentially looking at bag limit changes. And in order to do a bag limit change to really have the effect that we need to slow down fishing mortality, it would have to be a super small bag limit. So they were talking about adding it to the snapper aggregate. They were talking about making it 5 fish. So that would suck. We're going to fight that. Hopefully they just increase the minimum size limit a little bit. 8-inch fish is too small. 8-inch lane snapper, you get like no meat off that. So we're talking about maybe 10 inches, maybe 12 inches, just big enough to cut down fishing mortality enough to prevent closures is what we're looking for there. They're talking about changing the start date of for-hire red snapper season, so you guys might hear something about that. Don't freak out. 2025, we know 100% red snapper season is going to open June 1st. 2026, potentially, it might not be June 1st. They're talking about the Friday before Memorial Day, but it is not final. They're just starting draft conversations right now. But the way the council conversation went, I have a feeling it is going to be the Friday before Memorial Day. But we'll wait and see how that shakes out. But 2025, we know for sure they're not going to get the job done in time, because the feds take 6 to 12 months to make a rule. So the council has to talk about a rule. They have to agree to a rule. Then they have to make a preferred alternative. They have to go out to public hearing. Then they have to go to final draft. So it takes 2 to 3 council meetings at the least to pass a rule. Then they have to transmit that rule to NOAA. Then NOAA has to make rulemaking. So even if it's really fast and say it takes 2 council meetings, we have a council meeting in January, we have one in April, we have one in June, we have one in August, and we have one in November. So if they start it in January, then it goes to April, public hearing, then it goes to June as a final draft. So 6 months to pass a simple rule. Then it takes 2 or 3 months to get it to NOAA. Then it takes 6 to 12 months for NOAA to pass that rule. So no shot is any change to the opening date of 2025's red snapper season. So if you hear conversations about red snapper season start date changing, it will not change for 2025. No way. They can't get the job done in time. So it will most likely potentially be 2026, but even that would be a little bit of a push for them to get the job done in time 2 years from now. Funny, right? Is it funny or is it depressing? I laugh because I think that's all you can do. But moving on. Those are our Golf Council updates, and they are depressing, yes. But the good news is we've got red snapper season opening back up. Remember, December 1st, we've added a bunch of trips. Want to make sure we give a shout-out. Jason Richmond with a bunch of stars there. D. Beers with a big 530 stars. Mike Morgan, Bobby Winter, Adam Franklin with a big 1,000 stars. Thanks, buddy. Jamie, Nicole, Don Schuett, Appreciate you guys. All right, let's do another giveaway, and then we'll get into some more questions. Questions. Let me pull back up the right sheet here, Josh. All right, another giveaway. We did our 5-hour half day. Let's do our Hubbard's. Let's do the 10-hour all day for 2 guests. 10-hour all day for 2 guests goes to Steven Batchelor. What's up, my man? 10-hour all day for 2 guests. Lucky winner. You got 5 minutes or less to claim your free trip by texting us your full home address. That's how it works. All right. Then we're going to do the swag pack and then the 39-hour coming up. So stay tuned. When is the sign up for regulars? Regulars Club signups for new members open up the same day as our 2025 schedule. So if you want to book a 2025 Red Snapper season, starts June 1st, remember, probably going to go to the end of August next year, if not into September. Those dates will open for bookings December 1st at 11 a.m. So if you want to book a 2025 39-hour, 44-hour, 12-hour, December 1st, 11 a.m. Then also keep in mind, Regulars Club for new signups starts that day as well. What is the best fish to target from shore at this point? If you wake up early, I would fish John's Pass and throw a little soft plastic or a hard plastic swim bait, jerk bait, and you'd have a real good shot. Snook, redfish, trout. John has caught a slam a couple days in a row this past week. So snook, redfish, trout. So definitely a lot of action out there in the early morning hours before sunrise. If you come out during the day, your best bite from the shore would be fishing a dock or fishing a bridge or fishing some hard structure with a small piece of shrimp for sheep's head would be the best option. Dan asked, is it too late to join the Supporters Club this year? The Supporters Club is unlike the Regulars Club. It is something you do on Facebook. We don't control the Supporters Club. I have a couple voicemail messages I have to return. People call me and ask how to join or ask if they're having issues with payment or they ask if they're having trouble accessing the group. We don't control it. It's all through Facebook. You join through Facebook. You pay through Facebook. It is a Facebook orchestrated group. We just benefit from, I think it's like 60% of the membership or 70% of the membership goes to us. Facebook actually keeps a large portion of it because they run the show and they run the group. And they don't run the group, but they run the group's logistics and infrastructure and credit card processing. So definitely you can join the supporters group anytime. You can join today. You can leave a month. You could join today and leave tomorrow. It is totally wide open anytime for anyone to join. Oh, let's see here. Let's see. Free birthday trip. Yeah, we have free birthday trips. Josh has got it pulled up on the website for us, but we're going to show you how to navigate there. If you go to hubbardsmarina.com, on our handy-dandy hubbardsmarina.com website, go to info, and then go to Marina info, and then go to free birthday trip. So info, Marina info, free birthday trip. It's going to tell you all about how you get a free trip on your actual birthday. It is a really good way to go out fishing. You got to have a friend to go with you. So if you've got a buddy who wants to go out fishing with you, you can bring them on your actual birthday. They pay the normal rate. You get an absolutely free trip. If it's a specialty trip, it's not free, but you can get up to a 10-hour price off of that specialty trip. So go out to the website, check all the details out. It outlines it pretty well on that website page. So check it out. Do you use regulation? Wait, do you see all the regulation changes putting private charter guys out of business? I see back-to-back hurricanes putting more people out of business than the regulation changes, but regulation changes definitely hurt, right? But we are charter fishermen, and we are resilient, and we can bend and move and adapt to the changing regulatory atmosphere. a lot of people have been charter fishing for many years. Hubbard's Marina's been around, and in 4 years we're going to be really 3 years and 2 months we're going to be celebrating our 100th year anniversary, fishing for almost a century in local waters. And when we started, there was no such thing as regulations. So yes, regulations definitely change the way we fish, the way our business runs, but I think it gives us a beautiful challenge, right? We have this vibrant fishery, this beautiful state, this wonderful coastline, and so many people want to come here, and so many people want to come buy a boat, and so many people want to get out there on the water and do what we do. It unfortunately makes it difficult, because the Gulf of Mexico is only so big. It can only hold so many fish. And I've used this example before, but it's like a pizza pie, right? And if you invite 2 friends over to eat a pizza with you, everybody gets plenty of pizza. Well, if you invite 1,000 friends over and you've got 1 pizza, those slices of pizza get pretty small, right? So that's what's happened in the Gulf of Mexico. When we started fishing in 1929, we were using rowboats with cane poles, and there was like 5 other people fishing. There was literally 5 people in Pinellas County. And nowadays, in 2024, there's 1.3 million people in our county. And in Madeira Beach, there's 4,000 residents, and we average 4 million visitors. And a lot of people go fishing. A lot of people have really nice boats with really nice Yamaha engines that are super reliable, strong, fast, and what we recommend. And then also they have really great Garmin electronic devices that help you find. They have Garmin release shading. They can help you find the rock. They can tell you what's living under the rock. They have the side scan imaging. They have the trolling motor that holds them over the spot. It's honestly amazing that we still have access to our fishery at all, because of how technology has advanced, how many people are out there on the water. So I personally am not surprised regulations change. So I take it as a little bit of a personal challenge, right? Blessed to have these challenges, and business is one of those things that it's these challenges are fun, right? I love what I do, and when things like this come up, we have to find ways to continue to operate and to learn and to grow, and it's why we love what we do. Every day is a new challenge to overcome, and we're blessed to have challenges. So I think, yes, to answer your question, it definitely puts people out of business, but I think it also helps other people to continue. Business isn't easy, right? And if you can face challenges and enjoy those challenges, then you'll succeed. So I think some people will go out of business for sure, because it continues to get harder and harder to be profitable, especially with back-to-back hurricanes. But long story short, yes, I agree. These regulation changes definitely make it more difficult, but blessed to be challenged. All right. I'm a regular on the fishing trips. I consistently catch a below average number of fish. I think it has to do with not knowing when to set the hook. Can you talk about that? What trips are you doing? How deep are you fishing? What tackle are you using? I think we could have maybe a one-on-one conversation about that, Steve, and that might help you out a little bit more. But it definitely is a little tricky. And I think you can overthink it. That's definitely a problem. Also, braided line is not great for some people. We have these really nice rods now and really nice fast reels. And then if you put braided line on these reels, I mean, you can feel a pinfish fart in 200 foot of water. If you got braided line and a Bull Bay custom rod or a Fletcher's custom rod, those custom rods we sell at Hubbard's Marina, you got a Daiwa Saltiga 2-speed, and it's in high gear ratio, high speed mode. I mean, when you feel that fish just start to nibble and you start cranking like a madman, you can literally pull that bait away from the fish. So it's definitely something that you have to play around with. Mono might be a little helpful. Definitely using a longer top shot helps. Also, setting the hook is never really a good idea, especially if you're following the rules and you've got a non-offset, non-stainless inline circle hook. You don't really necessarily want to set the hook. You want to just draw down those tension. And then I kind of wait until I got good tension, and I kind of give it a little bit of a tug there to just ease my muscle memory and feel like I need to set the hook. But you don't want to set the hook with circle hooks. You just want to reel out the slack and put tension on the fish, right? So it is a little bit of a trick. So are you using circle hooks? Are you using braided line? These are all questions that I can help you a little bit better more one-on-one. But it's definitely, there's a learning curve. And the more you do it, the better you get at it, for sure. And that's a great point. Someone said, don't be afraid to ask the crew or other fishermen on the boat as well. The crew is there to help you, and the crew can help you out a lot to kind of give you some tips and tricks. Being there one-on-one on the boat, on the water, definitely would be even better to get that coaching, whether it's from I think party boat fishing is cool because you meet other people that fish a lot, and you have the opportunity to learn from people. So I always grew up on these party boats, 8, 9, 10, 12, 14 years old, and I would go on these 39-hour trips, and I'd watch. I'd spend a lot of time watching and a lot of time listening, and my grandfather always said, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Shut up and listen. And my father echoes a lot of my grandfather's sayings. Most of them are not safe for broadcast shows, but it's all about shut up and listen and think. And there's something to be said for just sitting back on one of those long-range trips with so many experienced anglers. Just watch. And if you see a guy over here who's consistently catching fish, catching big fish, quality fish, what's he doing different? Most likely he's doing something a little different than you. And if you're watching, you're listening, a lot of times you're going to pick up on things. And a lot of times if you fish with that same person a few times, maybe get to know them a little bit, maybe build a little relationship with them, you're going to be able to maybe get some of those secrets out of them one day. So learning from other people around you, talking to the crew is always a good idea. On the way out, the way back, on long runs, you'll have a good chance to pick people's brains. All right, do people who bring their own gear fish hogfish with just large jig heads with shrimp? Is that a better tactic, or is a jig head not allowed while on your boats? You could use a jig head. Not a lot of people do that. The kind of methods for hogfish are like a ball jig, whether it's we have a variety of different ball jigs in our office now. I can't even keep up with it. I think there's like 3 different kinds now. The banana jigs, the ball jigs, there's a couple different hogfish jigs that you tip with shrimp. The knocker rig is one. You can use the jig head. That used to be more popular. I would say it's less popular now. Most people either use the ball jig, the banana jig, or the knocker rig. You could use a jig head, but it would have to be a big one, at least a 1 ounce. Can the hogfish knocker rig be improved by using double snell setup? You can put a double snell setup on there. A lot of times I will at first, and then inevitably through the day I'll end up going to single hook. The problem with double snell is you have to snell them, right? And it's a long piece of line. You're putting 20 foot, 15, 20 foot of mono or fluorocarbon on top of that braid. Because remember, for hogfish, we're using like a 4000 series spinning reel, 20, 30 pound braid, probably 30 pound braid. And then you're putting about 15 to 20 foot of mono or fluorocarbon on top of it. So in order to do a double snell, it's really hard with a 15-foot piece of line. So a lot of times you're tying a line-to-line knot, adding 15-foot of line, and then you're double snelling a set of hooks and adding a little 4-foot leader and then doing another line-to-line knot. So I don't like multiple line-to-line knots in my leader setup. So generally I just stick to one single hook for the knocker rig setup. But sometimes I'll start with 2 and then inevitably get annoyed by that second line-to-line knot and end up going to a single hook at some point. So you can do the double snell setup, and then it just lets you add more shrimp. And the Smokey likes that. If you talk to Smokey on a slower day with a tougher bite, he'll do what's called the buffet. And his secret is add 3 or 4 shrimp onto the hook. If you've got a double snell, you can put 2 or 3 shrimp on each hook. Now you're sending 6 shrimp to the bottom. You're going to go through a lot of shrimp, but he claims it works, and I've seen it work. I was having a day where it was a little tougher, and he was like, dude, try it. And I was like, that's stupid. I'm not doing it. That's stupid. I'm not doing it. And I did it, and I caught a hogfish. He still teases me about that to this day. But the Smoky buffet does work sometimes, so you could try that. All right, let's do our last giveaway. Not our last giveaway. Let's do our swag pack giveaway, and then after our swag pack giveaway, we'll knock out one more question, and then we'll do our true last giveaway of our 39-hour trip. So, swag pack. Lucky winner goes to, let's see, Crystal from Oka-Lawaha. I don't even know that town. Florida has so many cool places, man. I love Florida. Have you even heard of that city before? No. I feel like she made it up. Man, that's cool. That's cool. Crystal, you won a Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Make sure you text us within 5 minutes your home address and your t-shirt size, and we'll get you out that swag pack. Do you ever catch hogfish on slow pitch tackle? It's been done, but it's not common. Let's see. If I bring my own live bait for a 12-hour or 39-hour trip, do they need to be in a bucket that fits inside the well, or would they be loose inside the well? 12-hour extreme trip, 12-hour night trip, you're going to have a communal live well. You would want to, if you had blue runners or goggle eyes, you couldn't keep in a bucket. They would die. Even if you had a really big bucket, they would die. You need to let them loose in the live well. And on a 12-hour night, 12-hour extreme, it's a communal live well. So you wouldn't be guaranteed to get your live bait back out. So that's a little bit of a challenge. 39-hour trip, you have a personal live well. So everyone on the 39-hour trip has their own personal live well. So what bait you put into your live well is the bait you're going to use through the trip. So you would be able to do that on a 39-hour trip. On a 12-hour, you wouldn't, to answer your question. All right, is that the question we're going to end on? I feel like we can get one more. Let's see. We don't have a lot of gray ones. On the 10-hour trip, do the mates sell terminal tackle? No. I hope they don't. They're not supposed to. We have tackle in our tackle shop prior to leaving. We do have tackle on the boat for rental rods, but you need to make sure you have plenty of tackle. So get your tackle in our office prior to leaving. And then once out there on the boat, you don't have any tackle. But we're not going to let you not fish, but you need to come prepared. All right. What's the best trip to get into some mahi? We don't really catch mahi super consistently, and I would feel uncomfortable saying, hey, do this trip and catch some mahi. We see mahi more often offshore, 12-hour extreme, 39-hour. We see them during the day most frequently, so the night trips wouldn't be a good option. So offshore, during the day, we see them most of the time in warmer months, but we also see them in cooler months. It's kind of hit or miss. It depends on the currents and the loop eddies and all that good stuff out there. So kind of hard to say mahi-wise. If you want to catch mahi on our coast, I would go up, or I would go down to the Keys. And this is a good time of year for them, down to the Keys. All right, I think that's it. We talked about red snapper, Veterans Day. We talked about that. Happy Veterans Day again. Make sure you check out the Friendly Fisherman Restaurant. It's back open. Fishing for Hope event is November 23rd, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. We hope to see you out there in 2609 North Rome Avenue. Myself, Capt Mike Anderson, Capt Bill Miller, the guys from Old Salt, guys and gals from Old Salts will be there. Final Friday. We talked about it. We hoped it would come back. We didn't have Final Friday in September because of Helene. Didn't have Final Friday in October because the city poo-pooed our permit. Final Friday in November is not happening either. I think Final Friday might be dead, guys, unfortunately. The good people at Caddies funded Final Friday. I've said this before, and I can't say it enough. The people at Caddies get a lot of hate for some reason. If you go on to like a Madeira Beach page and you say, hey, I had a great dinner at Caddies, like people will freak out on you and like hate you because you said a positive thing about Caddies. I don't get it. They spend so much money in the community, and one of the things they were doing in John's Pass is Caddies was spending like 30 grand a month to do Final Friday. People couldn't believe we were giving away free beer and free food. That costs us a lot of money, yes, but we would only spend maybe like 4 grand on Final Friday. Caddies was spending 30 grand every month. They were doing the band, they were doing the stage, they were helping pay for some of the permitting fees. Caddies is gone, wiped out at John's Pass, and they have not even started building that bar back. Caddies not being there is not going to pay the 30 grand to have a stage and a band, which is understandable, right? If you don't have a business there, your business is closed, not making any money, doesn't make any sense for you to pay 30 grand for an event that's meant to bring people to your business, right? So Caddies isn't doing it. Besides Caddies, the only other people that were doing something was us. So the city's not into it. The city's not supporting it. So Final Friday is not happening in November. And when I talk to city staff, they're talking about canceling Seafood Fest at the end of January. So they're talking about not supporting John's Pass events for many months. So I think, in my opinion, once Final Friday loses the momentum, I think I'm going to have a hard battle to try to get it back. So the city manager told us in a meeting, if ever the day comes that Caddies will not pay to have the band and the stage, the city will cover it. Well, the day came, and the city manager didn't hold his end of the bargain up. So not surprised, honestly. For those of you who have been watching the Captain Dylan Hubbard page, the city manager decided to destroy our jetty of John's Pass. They just decided to tear up the sidewalk on the jetty and allow no one to go out on the jetty anymore. No public meeting, no public input. The mayor wasn't even aware. Super frustrating. There was a little bit of damage at the end of the jetty, and they claim it was a safety issue. So multiple city staff told me they destroyed the sidewalk and they're never going to rebuild it. Multiple people said that to me. Then we make a big stink about it, and a few hours later, the city puts out a notice on Facebook like, oh, hey guys, we're just doing some construction. We did tear up the sidewalk, but now we're going to replace it in 6 to 9 months. They're going to take to replace a sidewalk. Super awesome. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. They said it was a safety issue, so they destroyed the sidewalk. Then I heard it was taking so long to fix the end of it because it was going to be so expensive to fix like 10 feet of sidewalk. They claimed it was like $500,000 to fix 10 feet of sidewalk. So because people were going out there and it was unsafe and they couldn't keep people off of it, they decided to destroy the whole thing. And now what happens? People are on it. They're just climbing over rebar and rocks now. So now it's even more unsafe. So the city government did a great job there, Mr. City Manager, not consulting the public, not having a public meeting. The last public meeting is on record where they talked about and voted to repair it. So instead of repairing it, the city manager just sent people out there to destroy the entire thing. So you create a bigger safety hazard without public input, and we have the constitutional right to hunt and fish now. And you just destroyed fishing access, our biggest fishing access point in Madeira Beach, and the only ADA accessible for disabled fishermen to get out there and fish too. I think the city is going to be sued. I think it's sooner than later that they should be sued, and I think someone should be held accountable for that terrible decision without any public input. They used taxpayer dollars to destroy it, and only a little section of it was messed up, so it would have been very cheap to fix that little section. Now you've destroyed the whole thing, genius. So now you got to replace the whole thing. Going to be exponentially more money. So you wasted taxpayer funds without taxpayer input. I think that's fraud. Messed up. So that's city update. So as you can say, the federal government has failed and the city government has failed. Welcome to Sunday Night Show. With that positive note, we've covered everything and we've answered your questions. We've given away a lot of giveaways tonight. And want to give a shout out again to all those who have sent stars tonight. I'm so happy the stars are back. It's really awesome. Let me see if I can unlock my computer successfully here. Tanya Sexton sent some stars. Angie Darling again. Jason Richmond again. Appreciate you guys all for shooting us some stars there at the end of the show. Want to give a shout out to our supporters. Our supporters after show is going to start up at 8:50 supporters after show. Let's see who won our 39-hour trip for one lucky winner. 39-hour trip for one lucky winner goes to... Lucky winner is... Lynn Collins from Newport Richey, Florida. Congratulations, Lynn Collins. We are going to need a carrot cake for that one. Congrats on the 39-hour trip for one. Also, hopefully we'll see you next week, every Sunday night, right here, 7:30 p.m. for our live stream show. Hopefully we'll see you next week. Tell a friend about the show, and hopefully you'll bring a show next week or a friend next week to the show. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed our updates, and hopefully you enjoyed our show. Chris, I don't know why you're celebrating. Lynn won, not you, buddy. Y'all have a great night. Tight lines. Thanks for being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family. We'll see you next week for another episode. Thanks for watching.